The Erie Canal, a vision for progress. Let's do a quick review of the Erie Canal and what it did for our country. It was the governor of New York idea, DeWitt Clinton's idea, and his idea was to connect the Great Lakes with New York City by making a man-made waterway. And when he first opened up the idea, he was laughed at. People told him it was impossible. It was too costly. It could never be completed. In fact, two presidents told him they would not help pay for it. The national government would not help pay for it. But he did it anyway. He raised the money for it. And with his persistence and the persistence of thousands of workers over 8 years, the canal was completed. And not only was it was completed ahead of schedule when they thought it would be completed, and a cheaper budget when they thought it would be completed. So it was a very successful government project, perhaps the most successful government project during the era of good feelings, the time of peace and progress after the War of 1812. The connection the canal created was very powerful for our nation. It connected the Great Lakes and the interior of the country, and the starting of cities like Chicago, Detroit, and Cleveland, with the East Coast and the port of New York City, and thus from there the rest of the world. It greatly decreased travel times. It decreased the cost to carry goods by about 90%, and it revolutionizes the way trade is completed in our country, and the way ideas travel in our country. As people travel to the interior, to the coast more commonly, the ideas began to spread. The area known as the Midwest or the Great Lakes region of America will begin to prosper with increased trade and travel. The freedom and opportunity the canal created and allowed will be very valuable for our country and will continue the progression of our nation. Of course, the canal will at some point become outdated whenever it is replaced by the steam locomotive. But for the time period before that, it was incredibly valuable, and it still is used today, and it's kind of a living monument to what can be accomplished with a great vision and persistent work. So the Erie Canal is a huge success, and perhaps the greatest success of the era of good feelings. Thank you.